The basic components in graphics of the vocal organ. That is the hyoid bone, which forms the ceiling of the vocal organ. That is the Adam's apple with vocal cords tied in the front there. And you will see that is the cricoid bone with arytenoid cartilages mounted on top. We're going to assemble the box and you will see exactly how it fits together. That is the Adam's apple. You see those high horns? Hyoid bone coming in with ligaments, rests on top of the Adam's apple like that, in that position. And there's the cricoid cartilage with arytenoid cartilages mounted on top, vocal cords tied to them, and now we assemble them into the box. You see those lower horns of the Adam's apple, they rest on the cricoid cartilage, tied there with muscle ligaments, and it swivels there like a rider on a horse. And that is the only movement that you have during phonation, and that's all that is needed to stretch vocal cords. That's from the top, a view from the top. You can see the arytenoid cartilages, they actually turn and open during phonation to close and open the vocal cords. Today I'm going to show you the different positions of the tongue, correct and wrong, and afterwards I will physically demonstrate them where the camera will look at my own tongue, and you will see as the student how you should be doing your practice and what you should be achieving. The first photo that you will see is of a tongue, mouth open from the front, filling the space between the teeth, which is very important as a first step exercise to achieve. And that's what it will look like. The next photos, you will see the tongue with a hump, and that's what it looks like in a side view, with a furrow in the front of the tongue. Most people seem to have this problem. The next one is the tongue as seen from the front with the groove. That is the correct shape and position of the tongue. The next one is the tongue, a side view. And that's exactly what it looks like from the side. The groove, it's deepest at the back of the tongue. The groove does not run all the way to the tip of the tongue. It stops about 20 millimeters from the tip of the tongue. And there you have a wonderful side view of what it should look like from the side. That is the uvula and shrinks into the soft palate. It never rises with the soft palate. That is the soft palate and holds down like a steel net and should never move up. A very important exercise for the singer. The ng to the ah. That is exactly the quality and the voice you have when you do the ng to the ah, and that's what you always sing and speak with. When you go and always watch that action is visible while you're singing.
In closing, let me tell you that there is a fabulous training manual available that Jaco has brought together based on Professor Voigtniker's material, researched over 3 generations. And Jaco has put the finishing touches to it. And of course, he is bringing in practical exercises and demonstrated the working of the vocal mechanism so that people can understand what is meant specifically by the groove in the tongue and the action of the uvula. Now, of course, this particular manual that I have here has information available for the student that is absolutely without match anywhere or without counterpart anywhere in the world. It doesn't exist anywhere else. And I'd like to caution the student with regard to this methodology. This is a method that stands on its own. It's a method that cannot be synchronized with anything else. If you begin to mix this methodology with something that is foreign to it and that would be totally contrary to it, you would do great harm to your voice. So this is a singular method that must be applied in its fullness. I'd like to just indicate some of the information that's available here. It is, for instance, here in section 2, the physiology of the vocal organism or the vocal organ, the natural position of the tongue. I'm just taking certain highlights so that you can see the technical detail that is involved in this specific manual. It talks about the larynx, the cricoid cartilage, things that teachers of voice and students have never heard about. They don't know about it. And not knowing about it, they don't know how to actually demonstrate that perfect balanced tension between the various muscles and the various sinews and how it works and functions to produce the perfect voice. Then, of course, it talks about the muscles being connected to the cartilage and the larynx, how that operates. The isolation of the abominable muscles, the abdominal muscles. My apologies on that one. And here's some more detail here. Section 4, the voice, the manifestation of strength and energy, breathing. We have all those particular aspects there, and we have a history of voice development over the centuries, and then we come to some significant technical detail about the attack. Many singers have gone through years of voice development, have never heard the concept of the attack in voice development. Very significant. Perfect breathing, diaphragm, and again, a general summary. I just mentioned some highlights out of the manual. Very significant, very important for the student to know. And as you will notice, this is a manual that contains technical data so that you can develop a technically sound and physiologically, scientifically developed voice. You can't go wrong with the method. I think that Jaco, in his own vocal illustrations that you'll find on the DVD, demonstrates that quite effectively. If you decide to come in on this particular option of buying the manual, it will stand you in good stead. What is more, it's a legacy that can be passed on to your children and grandchildren. It is something that must be preserved for humanity. And that is Jaco's mission in life. That is what he's dedicated himself to. And I am sure that Professor Feuchtinger will one day say to him, "Well done, good and faithful student."